My mom always wore her hair in a bun, and this figure had the same bun. At some point, my dad asked her a question. Something simple, I don't even remember what. No response. He waited a second, then asked again. Still nothing. He raised his voice slightly, called her name. No reply. That's when the mood shifted. Not fear yet, just confusion. That uncomfortable feeling when something normal doesn't respond the way it should. My dad called her name louder, a little annoyed now. Still nothing from the closet. I stood up, figuring maybe she didn't hear us. I stepped toward the closet. And that's when I heard it. Footsteps. Behind me. My mom walked into the room. She asked why my dad was yelling her name. I turned to look at her. She had a towel wrapped around her. Her hair was damp. Down. Not in a bun. My stomach dropped. I slowly turned back toward the closet. There was nothing there. No figure, no movement, no clothes being folded. Just an empty, dark closet. Absolutely nothing. The silence in the room felt heavy, like it had weight. My dad didn't say anything for a moment. Neither did I. We both knew, whatever we had been looking at before, it wasn't my mom. It had her shape, her posture, her hair bun. It had stood there long enough for both of us to notice, long enough for my dad to talk to it, long enough for it to ignore him. I could have convinced myself it was my imagination. I was 12. Kids imagine things. But my dad saw it too. And that's the part that still scares me. Because whatever was in that closet was pretending to be someone that trusted. And it didn't need the light to do it. Ever since I was a kid, I sometimes felt like I was being watched in the dark. Not in a dramatic way. There were no shadows lunging out, no monsters standing in the corners of my room. Just that quiet awareness that something was there once the lights went out. I know that feeling isn't unusual, especially for kids who grow up carrying some kind of trauma. And honestly, scary movies never really affected me. Gore felt fake. Jump scares felt cheap. What always unsettled me were the things most people didn't even notice. Normal things. Empty doorways. Hallways at night. Spaces where nothing should be, but something could be. It wasn't that I was afraid of something specific. I was afraid that something unknown would lean just far enough into view. Just enough to be seen. Just enough to confirm it had been there the entire time. That fear lived in a very specific place. That fragile moment before sleep. Lying in bed, completely still. Staring into the darkness while your mind drifts, but never fully lets go. I remember being terrified of being uncovered. Even in the summer, even when I was sweating, I kept the blanket pulled tight around me. The idea of exposing any part of my body to the room felt wrong, dangerous, like an invitation. I would lie there listening to my own breathing, counting each breath, waiting for something else to interrupt it. Eventually, that fear faded. I got older. The nights stopped feeling heavy. The dark became just the absence of light again. I slept normally. That fear turned into a memory instead of something I lived with. These days, it's basically non-existent. I don't think about it anymore. Until yesterday. I went to sleep late, nothing unusual about that. I lay down, turned everything off, and let the room go completely black. No light from the window, no glow from my phone. Nothing. The room was quiet in that deep, late-night way. The kind of silence where even the house sounds like it's holding its breath. I was still awake when I heard it, breathing, not slow, not distant, fast, shallow, right there. At first I thought it was my own, but it didn't match. My chest was steady. This breathing was quicker, uneven, like something struggling to pull air in and out. Then I felt it. A faint movement of air brushing against my face with every breath. Warm, damp, like something hovering inches away from me. The space above me didn't feel empty anymore. It felt occupied. My body locked up instantly. I didn't move. I didn't swallow. I barely breathed. My heart was pounding so hard, I was sure it would give me away. The sound kept going, breath after breath after breath. Too fast to be calm. Too close to be imagined. I opened my eyes just a little. Not enough to really see, just enough to catch shape and motion. The darkness wasn't empty. Something shifted. Not a clear form, just movement where there shouldn't have been any. Like the air itself was rearranging around a presence. All I could think was, don't let it know you're awake. I stayed perfectly still. My body started to overheat under the blanket. Sweat collected along my neck and back, but I didn't dare move. The heat felt dangerous, like movement would be worse than suffocating. My mind raced. What could I do? How long had it been there? What happens if I move? None of those thoughts led anywhere, so I started praying, quietly, desperately. The words came faster than I could control them. I didn't stop. I didn't pause. I just kept going. And then, the breathing stopped. Not faded, not slowed down. It stopped instantly, like someone had topped it off. The air on my face vanished. The pressure above me lifted. Whatever space had been there was gone. The room suddenly felt violently empty. I lay there for a long time after that. I didn't open my eyes again. I didn't move. Not until I was sure nothing was coming back. I know there are explanations. The autokinetic effect. The brain filling in gaps in darkness. Maybe air moving in a strange way. I've gone through all of them. But I also know what it felt like. To have something breathing on my face. And I don't believe what happened that night was normal. I was 10 years old when it happened. Old enough to know my house. Old enough to know when something didn't belong. It was the middle of the night when I woke up. The kind of wake-up where you're still half dreaming. My mouth dry. My head heavy. I needed to use the bathroom. The house was completely dark. No lights on, no sounds. Just that deep nighttime quiet where everything feels farther apart. I walked to the bathroom on memory alone. Didn't turn on any lights. Didn't feel scared, just tired. When I came back to my room, I left the door open. I didn't think about it. I never did back then. My bedroom opened directly into the kitchen. From my bed, I could see straight into it. The counters, the doorway, the empty space where nothing ever stood. I climbed back under the covers, my body already sinking into sleep. Eyes heavy, mind drifting. Then I looked into the kitchen, and something was there. A figure. Green. Not glowing, not bright, just wrong. It stood where empty space should have been. Its shape didn't make sense. Not human. Not anything I knew how to name. Its hands were deformed, too long. Bent in ways hands shouldn't bend. I can't describe them properly even now. My brain refused to finish the picture. It didn't move toward me. It didn't speak. It didn't react. It just existed. For maybe 2 seconds, then it was gone. Not fading, not retreating, just gone. Like someone had erased it from the room. My heart slammed into my chest. I pulled the blanket over my head instantly, no hesitation, no thinking. My thoughts started racing. What is it? Can it abduct us? Is it dangerous? Is it an alien? Each thought made the dark heavier, closer, like the room was leaning in. I stayed completely still under the covers, listening, waiting for footsteps, breathing, anything. Nothing came. No sound from the kitchen, no movement, no proof it was gone. And somehow, I fell asleep. I don't remember calming down. I don't remember deciding it was safe. Sleep just took me. When I woke up, it was morning. Sunlight filled the room. The kitchen looked normal, empty. Nothing was out of place. But I remembered it. I still remember it. The color, the shape, the way it vanished. That memory never faded, never blurred, never softened like most childhood fears do. I don't know what it was. Stress, a half-dream, something supernatural, something else entirely. All I know is, it was there, and I saw it.
My grandfather never believed in ghosts, but after one night on a dark highway, he learned something the hard way. Some things are not meant to be found on the road, and if you do find them, you should never bring them with you. My grandfather never believed in ghosts. He believed in engines, in highways, and in bad luck. He had always been obsessed with motorcycles, fast ones, loud ones, the kind that make the world feel smaller when you ride alone at night. This happened one night on Route 20 in Oregon. Late, no traffic, no streetlights for miles. Just an endless stretch of road and the sound of his engine tearing through the silence. That's when he saw him. Standing on the side of the road was a child. A little boy, 7 or 8 years old. Too small to be out there alone, especially in that kind of darkness. The boy looked injured. There was blood on his forehead, not a lot, just enough to look fresh, like he'd barely survived an accident. My grandfather slowed down immediately, pulled the bike over. The engine idled softly as he asked, "What happened? Where's the car? Where did the accident happen?" The boy didn't answer. He just stood there, perfectly still, staring straight into my grandfather's eyes. He wasn't crying. He wasn't shaking. He didn't look scared. And in that moment, a strange fear settled into my grandfather's chest. He stepped off the bike and looked around. He expected twisted metal,
broken glass, skid marks on the road, anything. But there was nothing. Just forest, darkness, and an empty road stretching behind them. The boy still hadn't moved, still hadn't said a word. Leaving an injured child alone didn't feel right, so my grandfather made a quick decision. He lifted the boy, placed him on the motorcycle, and turned toward the nearest hospital. The bike took off. As they rode, my grandfather kept talking to him. "Are you okay? Can you hear me? What's your name?" No response. The boy was stiff, silent. His arms hung loosely, his head tilted slightly forward. Streetlights passed overhead one by one. The bike vibrated beneath them.
Cold air slammed into my grandfather's chest. Then he looked down, and his blood froze. The boy's legs were changing. They were getting longer, stretching, unnaturally long. The knees weren't bending where they should. The legs just kept extending. Slowly, smoothly, as if something inside him was pulling them apart. In that instant, my grandfather understood. This was not a child. Fear hit him all at once, cold, sharp, overwhelming. He grabbed the thing by its arm, swerved the bike violently, and threw it onto the road. He didn't stop. He didn't look back right away. He just kept riding, faster than he ever had in his life. When he finally worked up the courage to glance behind him, there was nothing. No body, no movement, no shape on the road, as if it had never been there at all. After that night, my grandfather never rode that route again, and he never talked about what happened unless someone asked. But whenever he did, he always said the same thing. Whatever I picked up that night was not a child.
Story 5. My older brother used to have an imaginary brother. At least, that's what my mom thought it was. He played with him all the time, talked to him like he was real, argued with him like siblings do. Sometimes it sounded normal, laughing, running around. Other times it didn't. Sometimes my brother would suddenly yell things like, "Stop! Leave me alone! No, I don't want to go to my room to play." My mom would ask what was wrong. He'd say, "He won't leave me alone." She didn't think much of it. He was just a kid. Kids have imaginary friends. The strange part was, this one didn't feel imaginary. A day after my brother's birthday, we still had balloons tied up in the house, bright ones floating near the table. It was late, around 10 or 11 at night. The house was quiet. Then my mom heard the balloons popping, one after another. She rushed out of her room. My brother was standing there, terrified, frozen in place. She asked him, "What happened? Did you pop the balloons?" He started freaking out. "No, it was him!" He pointed at nothing. But my mom noticed something else. A knife lying on the floor next to the balloons. My brother was little, too short to reach the plates, too short to reach the knives, too short to grab anything sharp from the table. That's when my mom stopped pretending. She raised her voice and said, "Get out of my house!" She wasn't talking to my brother. Then she asked him quietly, "Is he gone?" My brother looked around the room, then nodded. "He left. Thank you." The house felt different after that. Too quiet, like something had just been pushed out. About 10 or 15 minutes later, my cousins came over. One of them froze near the front door. He said he saw a woman standing there, all white,
her hair hanging in front of her face, not moving. My brother immediately spoke up. "That's his mom," he said. "She opened the door." My cousins were already inside. My mom asked my brother if she was still there. He said yes. "She's mad." My mom yelled again, told her to leave. Then she asked him one last time, "Is she still here?" He looked toward the door, then said, "No." My brother is 19 now. He doesn't talk about it much, but he admits something. Sometimes he still sees him. Not in the room, not in the doorway, in the mirror. And he never looks directly at him.